Hi, good morning. Welcome to the Perl training by Verification and Validation School. This training and video is absolutely free. As of now, we are under certain constraints. So while the training is under progress, you might not be able to ask any queries, but you can certainly like our Facebook page at www.facebook.com verification validation. And you can post your queries under appropriate section over here. You can post your queries over here, or you can message us your queries and we would happily answer them. Next thing, we would also give you certain assignment for which you can post your answer on our page and we would validate them, but subjected to our availability. We hope you would have a great learning experience at the end of the day. Do not forget to like us at our FB page. That way you can express your gratitude towards us. Happy learning experience. Now, what is this Perl all about? Before we start the day one, let me show you the course outline. It is a total of 11 sessions, and today we would be covering the Perl language, what is Perl all about, getting the Perl installation done in Windows, Linux, and we would learn about variables, we'll learn about scalars, we would start a little bit on arrays, and the remaining stuff about array will be covered in the session 2. So this is our course outline, which is in our Facebook page also. Now, so the agenda for day one is getting Perl installation done, a little bit introduction on Perl, and what is a variable in Perl, what are scalars, and a little bit about arrays. So to start about what is Perl, it is a very much stable cross-platform programming language. A stable cross-platform programming language. What do you mean by this? It is a cross-platform programming language. It means that it doesn't matter in which platform you write it, it is going to run everywhere. Write it once, it is going to run every platform. So this programming language was developed by Larry Wall, and it was it was developed for text processing. Now many people call it as a practical extraction and reporting language, but many of the expert Perl programmer are not sure if it is the appropriate full form of Perl. Now it runs on various platforms. It runs on Windows, Mac, it runs on Linux. Now, so before we jump into the depth of Perl, I'm making an assumption that you are already aware about what a computer program is and what is a computer programming language. I certainly do not expect you to be a master of any programming language, but I expect that you understand the basics so that it would be a good and kind of smooth learning experience for you. Okay. Now, Perl is a open source software. Okay, and it is licensed under its artistic license and general public license. And the beautiful thing about Perl is its features. Okay, so it takes the best features of other languages like C, Awk, Sade, Shell, Basic, etc. Okay, now what can you do with Perl? You can do a lot of things. You have got web, web. You can create dynamic web pages. You can process the text. You can automate your tests. You can have interaction with servers, interaction with database. So you think of anything, you can do it Perl. You can ask Perl to make coffee for you, it can do it for you. Okay, I was joking. But certainly you can expect Perl to do everything that you can expect from any other programming language. It is very flexible. And it is the most popular web programming language due to its text manipulation capabilities and rapid development cycle. So Perl get things done. It's flexible, forgiving, and malleable. The capable programmers use it every day for everything from one-liners to one-off automations to multi-year, multi-programmer projects. It is pragmatic, but you are in charge of it. You decide how to solve your problems, and Perl will mold itself to do what you mean. And Perl will grow with you. In next few sessions, you will learn enough to write real useful programs, and you will understand how the language works and why it works as it does. Now, Perl is a very expressive language. Experience and good test will guide you as you design your code, but the choice is always yours. Express yourself, but be mindful of readability and maintainability, especially for those who come after you. Learning Perl is like learning any other spoken language. You will learn a few words, then string together sentences, and then enjoy simple conversation. The mastery will come from practice of both reading, listening, and writing the code. You don't have to understand every detail of Perl to be productive, but the principles are vital to your growth as a programmer. Now, Perl programmers or the hackers have a slogan for this. We have the Perl programmer have a very good slogan: team toe to die. It means there are more than one way to do it. Okay, so there are a lot of approaches that you can apply to arrive to a particular solution. The choice is entirely yours. Now, I will show you an example what I meant by that. For example, I have an array of numbers. I will explain you what is this. You don't need to worry about this thing as of now. Now, when I say there are a number of ways to achieve a particular solution, for example, consider this is an array. In Perl, we declare array like this. Suppose this is an array. Now, we want to have another array which contains all of these lists multiplied by 3. Okay. Now, a Perl expert, what we will do, okay, he will write something like this. So whenever you write a program in Perl, you save it with the extension .pl, okay? See, he did it in a very simple 2-liners. So it produced exactly the triple of the numbers that were in the initial array. Now, this might seem to be a little complex. It can occur to the mind of an expert programmer. But what an intermediate guy would do is he won't use the map function, but he would do something like this. Okay, he will certainly arrive at the solution. Now, a beginner would have a different approach. Okay, a beginner might do something like okay, he produces the same result. So the choice is here, what path you follow to arrive at a certain solution. There are a lot of ways for a given problem. The more you learn, the more you read, the more you code, the more you program, you will come with the best possible solution. Okay. So there are more than one way to do it. Now, okay, Perl, it is interpreted. What do you mean by it is interpreted? Perl is an interpreted, which means that your code can be run as is. without a compilation stage that creates a non-portable executable program. Now, traditional compilers convert programs into machine language. Okay, so let me tell you what happens. This is your source code. Now, what happens is you compile this source code, it generates a bytecode kind of thing, right? In case of Java program, what happens it generates something called bytecode. The compilation stage, here the stage is compilation stage. Now what happens is, after compilation, you run it finally to get the output of a program. Okay, so in case of program like Java, C, C++, this happens, right? You have got a source code, you compile it here, it generates a bytecode, then it generates the output. Okay, but in case of Perl, it is something different. In case of Perl, it is first compiled into a bytecode, which is then converted into machine instruction, but you do not have to separately compile it and then run it. It will not have two stages. Let me show you an example. Let me write a Java program, public class, let me call it hello. Save it. So this is your sample Java program. I wrote a public class hello, public static void main string asks. Now this is stored in where? This is stored here hello.java. This is a Java file. Okay. Now what you have to do? You have to first compile it Java C. Then what you do? Write the program name hello.java. Okay. Okay. So once it is compiled, you can see it generates a class file. then what you have to do is you have to run the class file. So it prints out hello world. But in case of Perl, you know, the same thing would be amazing. I'll tell you what this is all about. User bean Perl print hello world backslash excuse me backslash n. So you just have to type Perl. The program name is hello1. Gracias. So internally it was compiled and you got the output. So now you know thing that we wrote in Java, it was around 6 line of code. We got it in mere 3 lines of code. So this language is quite robust. It is, you know, compact, and it is a very easy language. Now we cannot call it to be a strictly an interpreted language, just like we have in Shell, but the compilation in between, it goes on internally. If there is any error, it will show you in the screen, and after the compilation the output is generated. The user will not be exposed to the compilation stage until and unless you have an error. Now the next thing is how to get Perl. Okay, for Windows user, I would suggest you to get the strawberry version of Perl. Even Larry Wall prefers to use this version. Okay, so you decide which bit to get. Now 5.20.1 is the latest version. So depending on what machine you have, 32-bit or 64-bit, you just install it. Just click it. After you click it, it will load the executable. Okay, so I have already the executable, so I'm not downloading it. Now once you double click it, what will it do is it will install Perl in your machine. Sorry, it will install something called this. It will create a strawberry folder and it will install all the required binaries and required softwares. So once this is done, you have to set your environment variable. You go to properties. Here in the advanced system settings, you can select the environment variable, and you can give the location of bin file. Okay, the location of bin file in the environment variable. In %path %, you have to keep the path. So for our case, you go to this Perl, inside bean library you will have this. This is the Perl interpreter, perl.exe. You give this path, okay? You give this path in the variable value for variable name path. Click OK, and you can run Perl anywhere from your system. You don't have to explicitly give this location every time you execute your program. Okay, so you place your program anywhere, your program will run. Now what version of Perl you have? Perl -v. You type this Perl -v. It will give you what version of Perl you have. I have the Perl 5 version 14. Okay, installed in my system. Now in case of Linux, this is my Linux machine, and the wonderful thing about Linux is, and this is the Ubuntu that I have installed in my system. The wonderful thing about this system is it comes already pre-built with Perl. You don't have to explicitly install it. So when I do a Perl -v, it says that I do have a Perl version 18 in my Unix system, in my Linux system. Now you don't have to go explicitly and install it. Now remember this command, it is very much useful. Perl -v, it gives you what version of Perl is installed in your system. Okay, now you would have marked, when I was writing a program, I always used this exclamatory line. Exclamatory line. Okay, so this exclamatory line, it is called the shebang line. Okay, this line is followed by a path. This is followed by a path which tells the shell where to find the interpreter that is used to execute the program. Okay, but this is quite useful in Linux. Okay, but it is not required in Windows. If you write it, it is no harm, but even if you omit it in Windows system, it would work fine. Okay, 369. But if you write this program in a Unix system, it might fail because it won't find the interpreter. So let's run it using Linux. So the path it says is user bean Perl. So first let's take a look in the user bean. So here the Perl must be somewhere here. Yeah, the Perl is inside user bean. Okay, so the shebang line, which is the first line of a Perl program, it says where to find the Perl interpreter. And in case you are using a Linux machine or a Unix machine, this line is mandatory. But in case of Windows, you can, after you set this environment variables, you can ignore this first line. Okay. Now a few things to note before getting started. First of all, when we start a program, writing a program, we would use, this is the first line, user bean Perl. In case of window, I also recommend you write this line, because sometimes your program might be used in Linux machine. Some of your colleague might ask your program, and they might be using some Linux machine. So there won't be any problem, portability comes in picture. So these are the few lines you must blindly write before you start writing further. Use street. I will explain you what are these things in the upcoming session, but as of now, always remember to use this pragmas. Okay. This three statement can save you lot of pain. They force you to properly declare most of the variables and function and subroutines, and warn you when you are doing silly things. And if you include the use diagnostics line, they actually give you an extended description of what went wrong or what you did wrong, along with the suggestion on how to fix it. The experienced programmers generally omit the diagnostics, but when you start, they are invaluable. So let's take a look. So I committed a mistake. I intentionally omitted the double quote after the hello world. So it says can't find string terminator anywhere before the EOF in this line. Now when you have used the diagnostics, it gave you somewhere after line 7 there is a problem. Okay, if you see, try to read the error messages. Okay, this will actually make you a good programmer. You will find detailed explanation of what went wrong. Now if I omit this, what happens? It will say that after line 7 there is some error and it cannot find a string terminator. Now as you are starting your Perl career, I would always recommend that you use this facility, use diagnostics. Okay. Okay. Now we will learn something about variable names and sigils. What are the stuff? In Perl, essentially we will have three variables. One is scalar, the next is array, or sometimes we refer it as list. The next thing is hash. Okay. Now variable names always have a leading symbol which is called a sigil. Okay. So in case of a scalar variable, if you remember in Java we write it as intx, right? Float y in Java. In Perl, what we will write is dollar. Dollar followed by the name of that particular variable. We can write it as x dollar student dollar app1, something like this. Okay. Now array or list, how will I write it? At rate. Okay. Now how can we write a hash? Hash is something that we have something called dictionary in Java, where the data is organized in a key value pair. In Perl we have hash, and the sigil for a hash is percentage. Something like this. Okay. Okay. So now we will start with scalar. So as I told you, the sigil for scalar is dollar. Okay, dollar student, dollar x, something like this. And what a scalar can accept? It can accept a string, it can accept a number, it can accept a float, as long as it is a unit. So let us see an example. My dollar name is equal to John. Dollar y is equal to 42. Dollar z is equal to United States. Okay. Always remember, at the end you must give a semicolon. Okay. Now dollar a is equal to 3450. Okay. Now you print a statement. Print dollar x is dollar y years old a new line always comes if you have a backslash n. Okay, he resides at dollar z his salary is dollar a. Okay, it is simple. Now when I run it, there is an error. Why this error comes? Because I have used something called use strict, which actually initializes scoping of variables. We will come on this later, so I'm removing this strict pragma and running this. Oh, okay. Perhaps is dollar y years old. Okay, I'm removing all these things as of now and running it. Okay, it says dollar x is dollar y years old. He resides at dollar z. His salary is dollar a. Okay. So what we see is the variable are not expanded inside a single quote. Now in case we want to replace these variables, this is dollar x. In case we want to expand this variable, we have to write it inside a double quote. Once we write it inside a double quote, what we see is this value gets expanded, and John is 42 years old, he resides at United States, his salary is blah blah blah. Okay, we get the detailed stuff. Now, for example, we want to print something like this. He said, you might have read in books, he is doing good. Now, in order to print this, remember a backslash n creates a new line, prints a new line, okay? He said he is doing good. You need something like this, okay? He said he is doing good. Now if you run this, there will be error, because these codes are kind of not interpreted. There are multiple codes. For Perl, there must be one starting code and there must be one ending code. But when it sees inside the code there are few more double quotes, the Perl interpreter gets confused. So in order to print this, what you have to do is explicitly you have to use some backslash in order to escape those things, okay? Now when you run it, it prints the stuff wonderfully. He said he is doing good. You can see here the double quotes have come as expected. So this is called escaping. When we have something like this, double quote or something, now if I use he's doing good and his name is $X, okay, if you run this, his name is $. He said he's doing good, wait, and his name is $X. Oh, this is 2PL. He said he's doing good and his name is $X. N. And his name is John. But you don't want John here. You want the variable to print it as $X. So what you do, if you do a escape here and then run it, his name is $X. What it means, is generally the backslash, it is used as a escaping character. Now you saw it looks quite awful, right? That having escape sequences before inside this quotation mark, it doesn't look good. So in that case, what you can do is, you don't have to escape, you can use something called as quotes operator. So print, I will say QQ. No need to escape. Okay. Now when you do this, he said he's doing good. Remember this QQ stuff, okay? Once you write QQ, you don't need to escape this double quotes. It would print. Now the most wonderful thing about QQ is, now suppose you have a line that spans to multiple lines. For example, something like this: my dollar letter is equal to QQ dear $X. I am writing this letter to you to let you know that I am already $Y years old and I have been working my I've been working at $Z for my entire life, just getting peanuts, which is dollar a only, dollars only. Sincerely, an upset employee. Now, look at the wonderful thing that the QQ operator can do. What happened? Okay, I need to print it, right? Print dollar letter. See, the way you have written here, you don't need to explicitly state \n in every line. You just write it like a storybook, and the QQ operator is smart enough to print it for you smartly. Not print it for you, organize it for you smartly. Okay. Now, after you read QQ is over, now we will learn something about here docs. Here docs is also an amazing thing. Okay. What you have to do is, my letter is equal to, you do something like this, frustrated. You write a line, keep it inside a quote. Okay. Now you write the same whatever you have written here over here. Make sure it is in the new line. Okay. It does the same job. But I have it. Okay. What you have to do is, you have to end it here. Can find the terminator frustrated anywhere before EOF. Okay, I understood what happened. I'm telling you. There must be a new line after it. Okay. What is the problem, dude? Okay, so here you got your letter. So this kind of programming is called here doc programming in Perl. Here you give a word or a mark, and after that mark you write whatever you want to assign to that particular scalar $letter, and then you end it using that particular word, and then you print the scalar. Okay. Okay, now here docs is over. We would learn something about chop function and chomp function. Okay, what chop does is it removes the last character from a string. So last character from a string. What chomp does is it removes the new line from the end of the string. Now this is particularly useful when you are reading line from a file. We will come to this when you will find chomp to be useful. Okay, as of now let's look at chop. What does it do? As usual, we'll write this dollar name is equal to body. Okay, now my dollar last is equal to chop dollar name. Now when I do a print dollar last, print dollar name, there is a syntax error. Can you identify where is the problem? Okay, it says in 4 and 7 there are problems. So if you look at line 4, we have missed a semicolon, and before 7 semicolon here. We save it again, run it. So what we see when we do a, sorry, I've not said about my, okay, this thing. Okay, so for dollar last is equal to chop dollar name. So dollar name is body. When we do a chop of name, y gets stored in last. And what is name? It is chopped. The last character is chopped, so it becomes bud. Got it? Good. Now, for giving you an example of chomp, we will come to the chomp function later when we will read something about reading from a file. Now I will tell you something about stdin, standard input, what it does. Okay, as usual the shebang line comes here. Now it is really fun if you make your program interactive in the sense you want some input from your user, and based on that input you are going to perform your function ahead. Now in order to get input, what we use is a stdin variable in Perl. So how it works is, for example, print enter your name. Okay, $z $name is equal to stdin. Make sure to put it inside a angular bracket. Print hello $name, wishing you a good day. Okay, now when you run it, it asks your name. I enter my name as Mohanty. Hello Mohanty, wishing you a good day. Now, did you see that after hello Mohanty, the next line came to wishing you a good day? Did I give a \n here? No. But still it came to a next line. Why? Because, again, let's run this program. Enter your name. I entered Mohanty. The cursor is blinking here. So how can the cursor come here? I press enter. The moment I press enter, $name stores Mohanty as well as \n, a new line character. So it prints hello $name. $name contains what? Mohanty. The moment I press enter, dollar stdin contains Mohanty and \n, which in turn gets assigned to $name. So $name contains Mohanty and a \n. Now earlier I told you about a function which is chomp. Chomp, it removes the new line from the end of the string when you are reading a line from the file. So if you look at the program, if I do a chomp $name, the new line gets removed from the input. So let's run it now. It asks for enter your name. I gave it as Smriti. Enter it. Hello Smriti, wishing you a good day. Again run it. F5. Mohanty. I gave a enter, but still then it is coming in a one line. Why? Because I have used chomp. So essentially you learnt the use of chomp. What does chop do? Chop, it removes the last character from a string. So in case $name is remember to put a string inside a quote. So in case you chop here, chop $name, what happens is $name now becomes BUDD. Okay. Now if you assign to some $name, $last stores, the chopped variable, which is y. So got it? Essentially the difference between chop and chomp. Okay, you also learnt what is stdin. Stdin, standard input, which is used to get the input from the user. Okay. Now let's read about another function, which is index. Okay. So for index, it has got the syntax like this: index, the string, the substring, the position. Or the position is actually optional here. The position is optional here. Okay. What does it means when it is optional? So let's look at an example. As usual, we'll have the first line. We take it as $student is equal to, okay, let's give some, is equal to Rajnikant. Now $y is equal to index. Remember the index string is $name, substring a. Okay, print so it prints 1. Index starts from 0. Okay, 0 1. Now it does not print the remaining occurrence of a. Okay, so index always chooses the first occurrence and prints it out. Okay, now you don't have to explicit. Okay, I will talk on that later. So this is an example of the first person. Now position, $z is equal to, for position I give it as 2. Print $z. Let's see. So what will it print? Let's see. It prints 3. What does it mean? It means the position, from this position it will start looking 0, 1, 2. It starts looking from this position till it finds the first occurrence. So you understood what index is about. Okay. Now we have something called write index, R index, which essentially does the first occurrence, but it finds the last occurrence of the string. Sorry, the R index, it finds the last occurrence of the string. It means, let's do it. Let's see it in an example. $x is equal to if we do a R index, it will give you the last occurrence 7. 7 is the last occurrence, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now what happens if you search a character that is not present? For example, S. It will return -1. Line 11 here, print. There is some problem. Okay, here is a bug I found it. S is not working. Okay. For example, C is not present in this string. Okay, when I see, it gives a -1. It is because C is not present here. Okay, I don't know why it doesn't work for S. Okay, it gives -1. So R index, what it does, it gets the last occurrence. In case not found, both index and R index gives -1. Okay. Now we have some more function, LC. LC first, UC first. Okay. Let's look at the examples. Remember, I am doing it in a Perl editor, which is called Padry, but I would always advise you to write it in a notepad. Okay, write it in a notepad, save it with .pl extension, and always go to the location where it is saved and write Perl .pl like this in your starting time. Okay, in order to practice. Okay. Now my dollar A is equal to UC dollar F name. Okay, I have not said about my, sorry for, I will tell you about this my stuff the later point of time, how it is very much useful. Dollar B is equal to LC dollar name. LC equal to LC first dollar name dollar D is equal to UC first dollar. Okay, now it's the time to print stuff. Print dollar A dollar B dollar C dollar D okay, I missed something. What I missed is color. Okay, now you see you see uppercase last name, so everything become in capital. Dollar B lowercase f name, so everything becomes small. Dollar C lowercase first, so y becomes small here. The remaining things is as it is. Dollar D you see first last name, so the first thing become caps. Okay, good. Now there is something called print so it prints 7. Okay, let me make it more readable. So the length of that particular scalar variable is 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, this is the length variable. Now let's we read about the length variable also. Okay, now let's read about the substring function in Perl. Okay, so the substring function comes with the syntax, the expression, or the string, the offset, length, these two are optional. Okay, these two are optional. Now remember this, Okay, what I advise you is to take notes when I speak, because I am not sure if I would be able to share this document with you. So I assume that you guys are writing up when I am speaking. Okay, thank you. Now let's look at example how this substring function work. Okay, let's go to half-hearted dollar part word is equal to substring dollar word 4. Print hearted. So what it did, substring, as I said you, if you remember that string and offset, these are mandatory and length and replacement are optional. So in this example, I gave the example where I have a string and an offset, where I have a string which is half-hearted string and an offset of 4. When we have an offset of 4, it calculated 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. From 4, it printed the remaining word, which is part word. Let's see what is left in word. Print dollar word dollar word is as it is. Okay. Now when you assign it to a scalar, the substring function after 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? It took away these 4 things and printed the remaining. Okay. Now let's do it as a 5. We gave a length to it. When we gave a length to it, what happens? It gave heart. How it calculated? 1, 2, 3, 4. It took away. And from after that, what it did is it calculated 5 characters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is heart. It's the part word. The word remains as it is. In case of 4, this is equal to 0, right? When this is equal to 0, it prints nothing. But when you don't give anything, what happens is it prints the remaining word after the offset, which is hearted. Offset is 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now let's give the offset as 0 till 4 characters and replace it with hard. Okay. If you see, this behaves entirely a different word. If you give the replacement, the word gets replaced. It becomes hard-hearted. And the part word, whichever word is chopped off, is stored in the part word. So we are clear on the substring function. Let's have a revision again. Now, when there is only offset, which is 4, zero, 1, 2, 3, 4. From 4 the remaining things get printed to the end of the string. The word is not impacted. Okay. When I give a offset 5 or whatever offset, let's give 4. Okay, it will print here. Okay, so the full word is not affected, and after 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, after that it prints 4 words. Okay, but the moment I give a replacement, and I start the offset from 0, the entire word gets replaced with hard-hearted, and whatever is chopped is kept here. Now, how to make it half I? Can anyone tell me? The offset, I have to start it from here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I get offset as 4. How many words I have to replace? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have to make it half I. Okay. The moment I run it, what prints? I replaced hearted with I. So I think now I'm clear on the substring function. Okay. Now we'll read something about repetition operator, which is nothing but a simple X. Okay, which is nothing but a simple X. Let's take an example. Dollar name is equal to John dollar term is equal to how. Okay. Okay, let's not make it more complicated. Dollar terms is how. Dollar John underscore say is equal to dollar term cross . print John underscore says. Ho ho ho. It prints 3 times. Okay. So basically it is a repetition operator. Now we will have something called a concatenation operator. Okay, which is nothing but a plain dot. Concatenation operator is dot. Okay, now let's have an example. $f is equal to 1, $s is equal to 2. Let's have some $x is equal to $f dot $s. Okay, $y is equal to, let's take some higher number, 2. $y is equal to $f plus $s, $z is equal to $f into $s, $a is equal to $f divided $s divided $f, $b is equal to $s modulo $f. Okay, what more? Plus into modulo. Now I will print it. I'll print only $x as I'm explaining you about the concatenation operator. The remaining thing is left as an assignment for you to check whatever it prints. What does it print? Oh, I forgot the seal. 213 because it just joined it as a string. Okay, but if you print y, you can see the mathematical operator coming into picture. Perl is smart. 15. Okay, now as an assignment I give you to experiment about auto increment and auto decrement operators, which is plus plus and minus minus. Okay, practice this. Now let's learn about some Boolean string operator. Please note it down here because we will explore more on this Boolean string operator when we would be learning about the looping in the next class. Okay, EQ, which is equality operator, and in case Boolean string, or you will have numeric operators. In case of number, the test is equal to Okay, NE is not equal in case of string. In case of number, this is not equal. Okay, I will give you an example also on this. LT is less than, and in case of number, you know it better, right? This is less than. Then you have this GT is greater than. Then you have CMP for comparison operator, and for numeric you have the spaceship operator. Oh my god, what happened? Okay, numeric compare. We will explore more on this when we will be doing looping, but for you to become clear as of now, let me give you a very small example. I will save it as boolean bool1.pl. Okay, it always returns a boolean value, true or false. Okay, now $x is equal to $1. Okay, $z is equal to PNV. Okay, now if $x equals to $y, print it must be mad. Else print hola, the interpreter is smart. So the moment you run this, it says hola, the interpreter is smart, because Mohant is not equal to V and V. When I do a V and V exactly same, hola, the interpreter is smart. How? It must be mad, because x is equal to z, this statement gets satisfied. Add an term, this is not same. If I run it again, the interpreter is smart. Okay, it returns the boolean value. All these operators that we discussed here, less than, equal, greater than, comparison, numerical comparison, all these return in boolean 1 or 0. In case of 1, the loop proceed, otherwise it jumps to the else statement. Okay, now we are almost done with the string operators. We will now have the introduction on arrays, otherwise known as a list in Perl. Okay, so how an array is declared? The sigle is at, and you can have any name. IRR is equal to, this is a blank declaration of array, which means it contains nothing. Now let's have example of array. Okay, 1356 is printed. So this is how an array is declared. One three five six. Now there is another way to declare a consecutive series of array. Now for example, I want to display up to 1 to 6 all the list of elements. I just have to give two dots. So you can see it wrote all the thing till 6. The same thing also is good for character literals. Put it in the quotes. Let's see if it works. Good, it works. Okay, now there is no guarantee that your array list would be consecutive. It can contain 1 3 6 7 8 0 9 like this, stuff like this. Okay, if you print it, it comes, but while writing the array it becomes cumbersome, giving this all extra commas, everything like this. Okay, so how you can write the similar statement is by using an operator, QW operator, and just separate them by space. Okay, just don't have to give the commas. Now if you print it, it gives the same result, right? QW, you just have to separate it by white space. Okay, now the declaration part is over. Let's look into some function in arrays. We have got something called pop and push. Okay, so how pop and push works? Pop the array name. Okay, what it does is it returns the last value of the end of an array. Okay, so let's look at an example. Always remember, all these are scalar. The lists are scalar inside an array. Okay, so we can assign, as I said, what does the pop do? It returns the last value at the end of an array. So if I do a print $x $n 4, that is the last value, right? Now push has got a different syntax. This is the list of push. List is an array, right? It can contain single value, it can contain multiple value, right? So let's have another at arr1 is equal to Tom QW Dick, Harry. Okay. Push at ARR. I give Mohanty. Okay, so I'm pushing at error a single as of now, Mohanty. Okay, so let's see what is the output. Oh, okay. Okay, let me give the backslash so that it becomes. See, the Mohanty is nicely pushed to the end of the array. So in case of Mohanty, if I give a number, for example, say 100, 100 gets pushed. Okay, good. Now the most wonderful thing is it does not accept only a single scalar, but you can push a list entirely or an array entirely to it. Nice. Term the carry comes into picture. Okay. Now we will learn something about shift, the shift function, and unshift. Okay. Now the beautiful thing is it behaves like pop and push, but they operate on the beginning of the list or array. So I'm asking the students to take this as an assignment and check its behavior. Okay. Okay. Now we are going to read something about sort, the sort function. I will be not telling it, I'll be telling it here in a brief. In the later upcoming session, the sort would be explained fully. Sort, as the name says, it sorts the array. Okay. Now let's simply you can give sort at ARR in case of strings, or in case of number you have to give something like sort. Remember this, the spaceship operator. And this is in case of a number, in case of numeric array. Okay, so let's have an example on this. So at ARR is equal to ZDS. Okay. Now at sorted is to sort at ARR print at sorted. Okay, it gets nicely arranged, right? Now what happens if I put number into here? 10, 5, 8, 6, 5, 4, 9, 3. Okay, 5. Wonderful. Is it sorted? It is not sorted. Why? Because for number I gave you a special syntax using this. Okay, so what you have to do is sort A equal to, give the symbol B, okay. Now you run this. Is it sorted? Ten, 5, 8, 6, 4, 9, 3. Printed sorted. Okay, here you have to give dollar. Okay, so now you can see it is nicely sorted. 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Now there is a beautiful thing. You can reverse sort by changing the position of A and B. If B comes first, A comes last. See, it gets reverse sorted. Now you are clear on the sort function, but there will be more on sort in the upcoming classes. Now I will teach you something about another array function, which is splice. Okay, so the syntax for splice is splice the array offset length the replacement list. Okay, now these two things are optional. Okay, so let's see how the splice stuff works. At ARR is equal to 1 QW. Just a minute, my power is running off. I need to put it. Okay. Okay, now I do a splice. I give a offset 2 print error. Now you see what happens to the moment I splice 2, I gave the offset as 2. So what it does is 0, 1, 2. After 2 it deletes everything and displays 2, 4. But when I assign it to a spliced array, what it does is whatever is being removed, 1, 5, 6, 8, 9 in this case, is assigned to the spliced. Okay. Now let's check with the other thing. If I give a length, okay, what happens? I give a length of 2. Okay. Now let's check. When I give a length of 2, the offset is 2, so 0, 1, 2. Okay, 0, 1, 2, and from here 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 1, 5 gets removed because the length is 2. Now this same 1, 5, it gets assigned to the at spliced array. Okay, spliced, it just take out the list, sorry, it just take out the scalar from that particular position till to that length. Now let's have a replacement. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, offset is 2 here, so from 1 2 length 1 and 5 would be taken out. In place of 1 and 5, monkey would be replaced, and 6, 8, 9 would be as it would be, and at spliced it would contain whatever has been taken out from the array, because here length is 2, 2 scalar or 2 units should be taken out and would be assigned to the spliced. Okay. Okay, so there is another last thing which I would say before we end up the class today. There is something called reverse function. Okay, what it does is, let's look at an example to clearly understand what the reverse does. I have a array num which has got numbers in the way 2, 4. Okay, let's understand it in string concept so that you don't get confused. Numbers, it has nothing to do with sort. Remember, it has nothing to do with sort. DEF 1, 2, 3 BCD VDO. Okay, string, it would be in the quotes. Okay, now reverse at num print at print part. So what it does is video VCD 123 DEF ABC. It just reverses the occurrence of the scalar units inside a list. Okay. So today this is the end of day 1. If someone needs this dashboard, you need to post your email ID to our inbox. Either you can send an email to over here, vnb.edu@gmail.com, or you can send a message to our Facebook page after liking this page. We will be glad and will be happily replying to your queries. So before we end this session officially, I'll be giving you some assignments. Make sure you complete this assignment before the beginning of the next class. So take two numbers as input and print its product. Okay. Next is read a string from the user as input. Display the middle two characters of the string if the length of string is even, or display only one middle character if the string is odd. Third, read a string from the user if the string contains the character S, replace it with ABC and display it, else display as it is. Okay. Number 4, read an email ID from the user and print the username and domain name separately. For example, vnv.edu@gmail.com. It would be displayed as uname vnv.edu, domain gmail.com. 5, read input from user and capitalize first two and last two characters of the string. For example, welcome will become okay. So you can post your answers. Post your answers in the Facebook page uh, under this video link where valley. So this is the end of session 1 training. Okay, for session 2 we have arrays. It would be continued. We will learn about control flow. Actually, the assignment that I have given, few of the assignments have got a link with the control flow where we will be utilizing while, if, for, all those kind of stuff. But the smarter ones among you can go ahead and answer these assignments in the page itself. And we will have an introduction to the hash, and that is all about Perl as of now. So meet you in the next class. Till then, goodbye. Have a nice learning experience. Good day.